Good morning. Okay, we have what we call a full house today. We have a full house, and that just means we all have way too much stuff. This is a little scary, right? Welcome to the April seminar. You all met Susan. Susan, wave. That's my assistant, Susan. She checked you in. Hopefully, you all got a little raffle ticket on your way in. If you didn't, maybe we can circle back with you near the end. Anyway, let me introduce myself, and then we'll get rocking and rolling. I'm Dana Wilson, and I am La Miranda and Diablo Valley's downsizing diva. I am a seniors real estate specialist, a certified senior housing professional with Keller Williams Realty, the largest in the area. And about 6 years ago, I found a need to get people more facts and truth about a lot of different things that have to do with senior boomers and senior housing related topics. And so we started this, and I didn't know if anyone would ever come. But I'm excited to say 6th year, month after month, obviously we are continuing to bring topics that have some benefit for you, so that is wonderful, and that makes our hearts happy. Now, this is very important. Where are my groupies today? Who's been coming for a while? Okay, now this is a very important job today because we have over half of our people are newbies. So groupies, you know what to do. You're going to turn to your right, and you're going to say, newbie, you're going to learn something today. Go ahead, turn to your right. All right. Okay, now you're going to turn to your left and say, it's about time. It's about time. So pat yourselves on the back because you're here, and that is the beginning of decluttering your lives. So this is an important topic because when we meet with clients, what do I hear people say? Oh, we could never move. We've lived here for the last 52 years, and I've got my stuff and my grandmother's stuff, and then, of course, we've got Bob's aunt's things, and we got 3 storage units, and blah, blah, blah. So, and this is sort of this is the big elephant in the room sometimes, right? This is what's stopping people from moving forward because they can't move forward until their son comes and picks up that piano, or their daughter gets that china that you want her to have. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. This will be recorded, so if you can't take notes fast enough, you can go back to the website and go to past events, and then you'll be able to see the recording. So give us a couple, maybe a week or two, give us a little grace to get it on the website, and then you'll be able to re-see that. There's also a really good video of a topic that we presented a couple years back that I think is helpful to some people, and it's the emotions of letting go, which is a whole different deal. Today's more the nuts and bolts, the tips. That's more about why is it so important that we hold on to these things. So you may want to go back and watch that video as well. So let's see, housekeeping. If you need to get up, get up. Restrooms are at the end there. Make yourselves at home. You're among friends. We will save time at the end for questions. So let's hold those questions till the end. We'll try to give ourselves a little bit more time today. And then we'll have a little raffle ticket, and then we'll send you back out into the world to go start working on that first drawer. How does that sound? And then I'm going to be checking on you. I'm giving you homework, so I'm going to be checking on you. See how things are going. All right. First of all, I want to just give a quick shout out. I don't know who's here. Some of them are up here actually on stage. Shout out to the education partners, because without them, we could not continue presenting this to you at no charge. So I'm just going to go in order. We want to give a shout out to Better Days, In-Home Care, Atria Senior Living, and if you're here, feel free to stand up. Carlton Senior Living, Mutual of Omaha Reverse Mortgage, Dana Wilson, Luxury Real Estate, Reutlinger Committee, the Reutlinger Community Senior Living. Family Matters, I believe Kim's right here up on stage. Byron Park in the Kensington. CareQuest, Transition Advisor. Clar's Auction Galleries up here on stage, and Custom Moving and Hauling. Perfect. Okay, so let's give them a little round of applause because they help us put this together. Awesome. Okay, so we're just going to rock and roll, get into the meat and potatoes of this topic, cut the clutter. All right, so we're just going to quickly go down the row. We'll start with Ms. Tammy down there and ask her to share her name, the services that she offers, her organization, maybe what she did before you got into this industry, and maybe if there's a particular business philosophy that you have.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tammy Jo Borowski. I own Clear Organizing, started the business in 2004. And our business philosophy is really to walk alongside people with our expertise to help them deal with their stuff that doesn't add a lot of value to their life, and then separate the stuff that adds value and make sure that it's in a safe, easy-to-use area. My background is I worked for a corporation for 15 years. I stopped work for a while when I raised my young children. And then when I was going back to work, I thought, what do I love? I love helping people through hard times, helping people through different transitions in their life. That's what I had done through volunteer work. And so I started the company as a solopreneur. Over time, I found our favorite clients were people downsizing. And so now I have a team of 10, and we work primarily in the La Miranda, Alamo, Danville area. So, and I'm a member of National Association of Professional Organizers since 2004, a member of the National Association of Specialty and Move Managers, and with the Keys Guild, and also Senior Solutions, a group that Dana and I are involved in, and I've sponsored this event for about 4 years. I haven't the last 2 years.
We're going to get you back. All right, Derek.
Derek Torres, Senior Vice President and Partner at Clar's Auction Gallery. We're a full-service auction gallery in Oakland. Our buyers and sellers are within the Western United States. We're one of the largest full-service galleries in the Western United States. We work with large and small estates and collectors nationwide, as far away as Hawaii and New York City, representing the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So large and small estates, most of my clients are in the California region. And I've been involved in the industry for almost 30 years. I was an appraiser, started at Clar's in 2009, helped turn the gallery around, and was offered a partnership and an ownership position in 2019. And that's when I became a partner. And that's it.
Awesome. Kim.
Good morning. I am Kim Falahati, the owner of Family Matters, where we are your downsize and senior specialists. We have 4 teams. We have a junk and donation team, a packing and moving, a organizing, unpacking, and an estate sale team. We offer the variety of services because unless if you've downsized before, you're always asking yourself, where do I start? So our goal is to map out a plan that's specific to you, helping you save time and money. I started this business by accident, as I am a nurturer by nature, and my parents, as my mom likes to say, is seasoned. So I had to help my parents downsize after my mom broke her femur. And they've lived in their home for over 40 years, and my father's part of the Depression, so they have a lot of stuff. And although my sister lives a couple hours away, she has a lot going on her plate that therefore I had to do a lot on my own. So once I realized that this was a niche and having to be emotionally involved and physically involved, I realized having a professional come in is the best route. For over 25 years, I've worked in Family's Home, and Family Matters has been in business for 9 years. I have a psychology degree, and with my personal experience with my parents and my team of 20, we have the resources and experiences we need for our clients to help them get to their next chapter. Thanks.
Awesome. Art.
Hello, my name's Art Lottie, the co-owner of Custom Moving and Hauling, and I'm the small fry on this committee here. Just have 6 guys working for me, plus me and my wife and my daughter. And I worked at Trader Joe's for 20 years and management 12 out of 20. So didn't realize how important that is when you work in being a business owner, but it comes in handy. All the experience I have dealing with people, customer, clients, employees, emotions. So that's it, I think.
And I guess I should say I've been licensed in California since 2006. I was super close with both sets of grandparents. One lived in Elmo, one lived in Berkeley. And I am going to be downsizing my mother's home that I grew up in. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath home. And I just downsized myself. So I've been there. And I did get the certification for the, certified senior living professional as well. So a lot of education, a lot of training across the board here. So hopefully you know that you've got some awesome speakers here today for you. All right. So Kim, what's something we should know? What's something that the people here should know about the services that maybe the public might be unaware of?
I think a lot of us feel that we have value in our belongings and we have that emotional attachment. So having to downsize or bring in a professional organizer in becomes overwhelming because someone's telling you, hey, we might need to get rid of this stuff that no longer serves us purpose. I am OCD. I love it. It's a fault, but I love my fault in the sense that that's what makes me happy. Because I like doing a job and seeing from conception to completion the feeling that you get afterwards. People don't realize when we have all this material items in our home that we're walking around like this, we don't realize the stress that it brings us. And the moment we give back to others or we get rid of stuff, then we start getting a little bit more relaxed. We're always taught that we need to have a lot of stuff. We have our walk-in closets, which I do love mine. But in reality, we only wear the same outfits as we season. We wear the same pants, maybe we change our shirts, a few times, but we don't need that walk-in closet anymore. So it's a stereotype that we need to have all of this clutter, when in the end we can just simplify everything.
Tammy, when's the best time that somebody should reach out to you? I mean, and what phase of this? And I will say, somebody had asked me, is this only for people that are moving? Not necessarily, right? This is for people that want to be more organized in their lives, or maybe you're cleaning out an estate of a loved one. So I think this topic is for anyone, right?
How much of the timing has to do with what phase you are in. Are you getting ready to downsize? If you are, the time frame is shorter. So the sooner you can get us involved, and we'll develop a plan to get you all the way through your house so you're ready for that move day. If your time frame is a sense of, I have too much stuff, it just bothers me. Every day I drive in my garage, I see this stuff everywhere, or every time I walk in my walk-in closet, I see those things. It's time to get started. And so we love for you to go ahead and get some time on the calendar where you book with your friends or yourself to say, I'm going to spend 4 hours and I'm going to work in one section. I'm not going to popcorn all through my house, because then you kind of mess everything up and you've got these piles everywhere. It's really thinking of your house like it's a big box. You're a bird flying over it and the roof is gone. Inside that house is a bunch of boxes, and inside those boxes, let's say it's your kitchen, there's cabinets, and those are boxes, your refrigerator's a box. And so it's trying to identify those boxes that are driving you crazy, that are taking away your energy and taking away your time. Start in areas that are less emotional, so that way it's easier. And like Kim said, when you start letting things go, it's really hard to begin with, but as you go and as you start employing some techniques, it feels better, and next thing you know, you're just flying through your house. So timing-wise is, I always think it's good to downsize as soon as there's less people living in your house. So you think about our life, we have this caravan, we keep throwing things in our wagon, when we finish school, and then we buy a house, and then we have kids, we keep adding to our lifestyle. The caravan needs to lighten up, and we have less people that are surrounding us. And so letting those things go anytime is good if it's bothering you or if it's causing a safety issue or any type of hazard.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Art, what qualities or qualifications should someone inquire about when hiring a mover or a move manager?
I would make sure they're senior move manager certified, which means they have extra training. They do a background check, and they have the ability to understand the challenges in the senior space. Sometimes it's physical limitations, sometimes it's dealing with family, whether they live here, or most of the time that I deal with people that live out of state or out of the area, or sometimes they lost someone, so it's very emotional. So someone that understands who they're dealing with and make sure they have a lot of experience in this space.
Any special training or qualifications? I guess I'll ask Tammy or Kim or Art.
There are in our industry, like I mentioned, there's a National Association of Professional Organizers. There's so much training that we receive. You can have certification. I love the NASM organization, National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers. They have different levels of accreditation. Our company has A+ accredited. We were one of the two in the Bay Area. But there's just a lot of accountability, and there's a code of ethics. I think that what's key is hiring someone who has employees and not temporary contractors. And so ask whoever you're talking to, the people they're bringing in your house, are they just other people that kind of do that work, or are they actually W-2 employees where they are covered under workman's comp and they have insurance?
Do you want to add anything?
I was just going to say research them, because moving, right, it's not like you have to have all these certifications, but it is good to have something under your belt, or have your team educate themselves how to pack things properly. A lot of us have china, and a lot of people love the china, so you want to make sure that they know how to protect that properly, and they have the experience and the resources you need to get that done.
Nice. Kim, we're going to stick with you for a minute. How do organizers determine, and obviously we're trying to talk in general terms as far as when we get into pricing, we're talking about general terms of our area, for instance, the Bay Area. But how are fees determined, and how are charges associated with services for organizing and move management? And maybe somebody should address the difference between an organizer and a move manager, and maybe the different services that they might offer. And you can both jump in on that one.
So I have a move manager on my team. I'm no longer a move manager, and that's because I want my team to have all the certifications, because they're the ones that are in my client's home. For us, and I think speaking for both of us, it's a variety of charges that we can charge depending on the project. I would say anywhere from 75 to 150, 175 an hour is pretty common. The bigger the job is, if you're a collector, then we have to bring more people on, and it gets more emotion, where it's not just a quick turnaround, where we're almost having to, talk our way through everything, and which is fine. We can talk and we can tell stories about why you have this horse still in your house that you had since you're a child, but at the end, do we really need that horse anymore? So time's money, and we'll help you and we'll talk through it, but in the end, we want to make sure that the whole point is to declutter and downsize that process. So depending on the depth of the job, as I would feel, is the determinant of the pricing.
I agree with that. It's also the breadth of services. So we find some people, maybe if you just want packing, it's better not to hire a move project manager, because their rate's going to be higher than just a packer. But at the same time, when you have a downsizing project, you have everything from high value items that need to be placed at auction. You have items that need to go to specialty charities, but we have boxes. Do they have boxes they're bringing in, or are you responsible to get your own boxes? So a lot of the cost component has to do with, when they come in, do they do everything that needs to be done, as long as it's not illegal or unsafe? And that's what I find is the best service, because a lot of people will say, I had somebody in, but they wouldn't do this, and they wouldn't do this, wouldn't do this. Now, there are specialties. So if you are a collector, which is a nice way of saying a hoarder, or if you, and it is, professionally that is, and we have a lot of training in how to work with collectors. And we also know that there's difference. So some people that are collectors and some people are compulsive buyers. And they're not the same thing. Collectors, they have to have that stuff around them. And it's such an emotional component that we usually work in a team with them in terms of their psychologists, psychiatrists, medical professionals. The compulsive buyers, they just want that hit of the buy. And so they're more likely to let go of things because they've had the high, they've pressed that button to buy it online, Amazon's arrived, they just need to get stuff out of the way so they can buy more. And so it's understanding those volumes. So, but I think, to have a friend who knows a wide range, or in terms of pricing, if you hire a team that's willing to handle the stuff in the attic, the stuff, out in the garage. My team loves a good dirty garage, but they also are great designers, so they can help do all the furniture planning and hanging artwork and things like that. So if that's important, if you feel like you have all those services that are needed, hire a team that does that. But we also love to be hired to do like a 4-hour every other week and just work in one area at a time. I had this wonderful client. She said, you know what? I want to leave a gift for my kids. I want, when I pass away, for them to come in the house and be shocked. We want them to, every time they open up a drawer, that has just plain everyday items. We're not talking about the gold and the silver and maybe some of the china and things like that, but just everyday items, the excess clothes and the linens. She said, I want them to open it up and see a little love note from me rather than 30 years of collected sheets. And so we worked with her once every other week for about 4 hours, working all the way through the house. And so at the end, when she did pass away and we worked with the family, it was just such a gift to them that she had left them the stuff that she knew that they wanted, the stuff of higher value, but all the rest of that stuff that is a burden to the kids, it was all gone. So that was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, art. As far as organizing and move management, some folks say, I'll just do this myself. I'm going to start with one drawer, one closet at a time. Or better yet, I'll have my adult children help me. They can come and spend their vacation helping me clear out my closets. What would you consider the benefits of utilizing an organizing service versus a do-it-yourself approach?
Well, I think Tammy said a lot about it in the last question. If you hire somebody to help you go through your items, it'll be done more efficiently. They have more resources. They can give you a neutral opinion about stuff. It really depends on your deadline and how much time you want to spend and how much money. It really depends on deadlines. If you have someone that does a lot of experience in that field, then they can help you go through it in an efficient manner and hit all your deadlines for whatever reason, if you want to downsize or help you with your deadlines.
And I do know that people are definitely here because I've talked to a lot of you, and they are wanting to leave with tips because they think that they want to start being a DIYer, and so tips. And maybe we just throw out a few tips as far as that organizing not move management because they're not moving, but tips for organizing that would help them go home inspired and motivated.
I'm going to go off what Tammy said too, is, start small. Carve out a time, set a couple of hours, maybe that you can go through a room that you don't have a lot of emotional attachment to, maybe the guest room. That's always the room that we pack the most because it's a door to close and we don't have visitors as often, so we always forget what's back there. Me being visual, and again, back to the walk-in closet, is hangers. Hangers is the visual part. Turn all your hangers backwards. Then you'll really see what you really use. And as you go through the closet, you put the hangers back the correct way. You'll really visually see how much you actually use, how much you wear, and what is that you need. And then when we have all the collector items, so to speak, in the 60s, 70s, we collected china, we collected figurines, we've traveled the world. So we have all these things that we've collected that maybe we just not need anymore. So really look at it and be like, oh, this is a great memory. Again, go through the memory, but do we really need to have that visual out at all the times?
And I would say before you start your work, set up your tools. Act like you're the professional walking in your house and you're going into, let's say, your bathroom. Bathrooms are a really easy place to start because you've got all these drawers. They're full of hand lotions that's been open for a long time, things that are not used. So before you start digging through the drawers, you set up a garbage, set up a donation box, and then an area where you're going to put the things you actually use. When you're working with a drawer, you don't open it up and pick out, say, oh, I'll throw this away, I throw this away. You dump the whole drawer, and then you shop from what's left. You put it over here, and you say, I do use this, and you'll find that this subset is a lot smaller than if you just cherry-picked. And then you take a look at that, and you have to decide, how much time do I want to spend going through those lotions? Maybe my daughter wants it, maybe not. I say sometimes it's important to be selfish with your time. and your energy, and to say, there's a lot of stuff there, it's all marginal, it's pretty out of date, I think I'll go ahead and get rid of it. And so just do that drawer by drawer, and then by the end, you'll have a bag full of garbage, maybe the things that you want are all nicely back in your drawer, and then if there's some things to donate, you have a box and it's all ready, so go through. I love the 20-20-20 rule. If it's an item that you don't plan on using in 20 days, and it costs less than $20, and you could go buy it in 20 minutes if you really had to have it, or buy it or borrow it. You don't need it just in case. And so you think about like all the holiday napkins we have. You know, every house has those leftover 5 Christmas napkins, 5 Easter napkins, that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff you just need to let go of and realize then when you open those drawers, it has what you need and you know what's in it.
It has to get messy first before it gets clean. Mind
Have
yourself.
you been to my home, Tammy?
I have.
I have those napkins. Like, well, we'll just use them in lunches and such. I mean, oh my gosh.
But like I say, don't popcorn around, because it is, we have a term in our group called an MSA, and it's a bad word, but it's like you moving your around, you know, you just kind of keep moving stuff from one place to the other. So when you're working on things like books, you don't want to expend a lot of energy picking them up, moving them around, that kind of stuff. So what you do with books is get small boxes, no bigger than like a banker box, or sometimes more just reinforced paper bags, and start working through your shelves, and you decide what books you want to keep. So keep the ones you want to keep on a shelf. If you have the bags and you're ready to get them out of your house, the ones you don't want, put in those bags, line them up, and maybe recruit some help to get those in your car into a place like Friends of the Library. Or if you say, I really don't want to physically carry them out of my house, I'm going to dedicate this shelf for all the things I want to keep, and I'm going to dedicate these shelves for all the ones that you don't want to keep. And we say, when we're helping people move, we tag green to go. So anything going with you to your new house, we tag green. Our movers all know that. Derek knows that when he's walking through the house. Those things are people are keeping. The pinks are things that they're ready to let go of. And so when you walk into your house, instead of having somebody like us go, do you want this book? Do you not want this book? To save money, what you can do is kind of dedicate those shelves or set aside those bags and go book by book. And really give yourself the gift of saying, do I want this book 5 years from now? Not do I want this book right now, but when you're downsizing, you really want to trip forward to the future so that you really are relieving that burden for yourself over time.
And I will say, I downsized my house, my home, my property, my storage sheds that we lived in for decades, raised our family in 4 days. So if I can do it, you can. It can be done. All right, Kim, when working with a client moving from a larger home to a smaller one, which we are normally doing, but once in a blue moon, we're moving someone that's actually moving to a bigger home, or they're building their dream home. So that takes on a lot of different scenarios. But walk us through the steps that you follow to get their stuff from point A to point B.
So I would definitely say bring a professional in first. And the reason is again, because you don't know where to start. And so a lot of our clients always start with what they don't want. And for us, that's not our priority. You're our number one. So I always say focus on what you do want. Find universal pieces in your home. Who has that one piece of wood furniture that's a table that has wings on the side that can make it bigger? Anybody? Yep. My parents are with you, don't worry, because it's a sturdy piece that people have. It's universal. It is great to take from your 3,000 square foot home to your 700 square foot place if you're going to move to assisted or independent living. It's great for you and your loved one, and then friends come over, family come over, you could open the wings and you can sit. So universal pieces are what I say, identify what you want to keep. We do green as go as well. So having that visual, tape everything that is really important to you first. I want this table, I want this couch, I want this piece, then that way you can see it. Another thing that I tell my clients, I'm a little person, I'm barely 5'1" on a good day, and a lot of stuff that was made in the 60s and 70s are low. And as we season, and someone like my mom who can barely walk because of her injury, she needs something to help push herself off the couch or off the chair. So if we have a swivel chair, that's dangerous because you might fall. If it's too low and it goes, say the bottom of the cushion goes past my knee, below my knee, then that's too low for you. You want to make sure you identify the items that you want that are safe and that are going to be long-term. Bringing in the professional always helps you map out a plan to save time and money. Most haulers don't charge for labor. So you focusing on what you don't want, you're not saving money because you're doing something that haulers don't even charge for. It's the moving that's the labor part. So y'all want to make sure that you focus on what you want because that's where you're going to save money. I also say prep of long term of, heaven forbid, you're going to be in a wheelchair one day. When my mom broke her femur, it was the scariest thing that any of us went through. And I had to call people to come in to help us give her therapy. I had to take care of my father and keep my own life going, but yet somehow make it easy for my mom to get around the house she's been in for over 40 years with a wheelchair, which you think is easy, but it's not that easy. The carpet's interfering, there's walkways interfering, there's all these different obstacles that you don't realize that you have until a professional comes in who understands this and sees things because we're not as emotionally involved as you are.
That's awesome. Thank you. Tammy, donations. And I know that since COVID, the way we get rid of our things has changed, right? A lot. So
Pre-COVID, we were able to get a couple charities to come in the house. They may not go upstairs, but they'd come in the house. Very rarely do charities go in the house anymore. It all has to be either in the driveway or in the garage. But the honesty is that charities are getting out of the business of picking things up. They are being inundated with so much stuff, they have the luxury now to just receive items rather than coming to the house. So there's a whole industry getting started that help you clear items from your house that are, you don't even have to decide, are they garbage or are they donation? They come and pick everything up, and Art, I think y'all probably do this too, is, and maybe Kim, they pick up things, and as they're putting on the truck, they designate, this is garbage, we think we can get this to a charity, and then before they go to the dump, they'll stop by the charities. So that's a great service, because the charities are not coming to the house anymore, but the cost is basically the same as paying for a whole truck full of garbage. And so it's hundreds of dollars. Some of my clients get upset that it's so expensive, but the feeling is you paid a lot for the item, you paid to get it to your house, you've paid to maintain it. I don't know why we think then we can just get it away, give it away or get rid of it for free. And so there is cost involved with all of our purchases. So that's one thing. You could go ahead and call around to some charities. I know the White Elephant Sale still does some pickups. Call, they typically don't answer the phone, but they respond really quickly to messages. St. Vincent de Paul is good. They still are doing a few pickups in certain towns. I heard just recently they are not picking up in Lafayette. And I think it's because they feel Lafayette people can probably pay to have the company like iHaul or Reclamation or Remove or some of those companies that can come pick things up and then cherry pick the donations outside of the garbage.
So I'm just going to add too that, again, it's labor, right? When you're having somebody come in, it's labor, and it's a liability, which is why a lot of hauling companies don't go inside the home to remove donatable items. Mm-hmm. So when you have a hauler come in, you want to make sure that you ask if they give you a donation receipt. Because the donation receipt, when we drop off donations, they give us, they should be giving you, and that's your write-off. A great thing to take into consideration is take pictures of all your items so you don't have to itemize everything. You can just submit pictures to your CPA and attach that to the tax receipt. So when you have somebody call in and if somebody come in to remove those items, find out what size trailer they have so then you know you're getting the right price because they can say it's $500 and ours can be $800. We'll find out what size trailer they have because that $800 could be bigger and you'd be getting more for your buck. So make sure you ask the specific questions. Do you come inside the home? Do you provide a donation receipt? And how large are your trailers? So then you make sure when you're getting charged by volume, you know the size of the trailer that you're going to be using.
And then are there any items that you all know of that nonprofits will not accept?
There's a lot. They won't take anything with the mattress. So no mattresses. Every once in a while, there'll be a local charity that will take maybe a twin bed, as long as they have a house that's going right from your house to their house. It takes a lot to coordinate that. But most charities will not take mattresses, so they don't take hide-a-beds either. They don't take day beds. So all those things are considered mattresses. The one thing that's really hard, I think the most difficult item for our clients are hazard chemicals. And we're talking about anything that you can't put down the sink. So it's not shampoos and things like that, but it's things like all your paints, all your pesticides, insecticides, fingernail polish remover, things like that. It is illegal for most people to haul your chemicals. And so even if a hauler tells you they'll haul it, unless they are licensed to do it, they typically can't. And so the best thing to do with that is keep gathering all of your hazards in one area. I like to put them in like an old plastic tub, some type of bin, and just put them in your car. Don't carry more than 14 gallons at a time. But we have a great recycle center in Pacheco Martinez area, the Contra Costa Recycle Center. All you have to do is show them your driver's license to prove you live in the county, but you stay in the car and they take it out. And so those are the things that charity, they don't want paints and things like that. Some paint stores will take your paints as long as they're in a can that has a label, but call them first because they fill up fast. But they don't like rocking chairs, they don't like entertainment centers, they don't like really large pieces of furniture. They don't like upholstered furniture if they've been around animals or they're just not a modern print. So.
And baby items, like she was saying, baby items and workout equipment. If you're if you're going to go to say Savers or Goodwill, those are the places that won't take it. But then if you work with a company who donates to say like Serenity House in Oakland or Goodness Village in Livermore, there's different charities that help you furnish apartments that will take certain items that maybe Savers or Goodwill not.
And I'm gonna move on to movers. Mm-hmm. Did you have something to add, Art? Go for it.
I was just going to piggyback on what Tammy said.
Go for it.
A lot of bulky items, china hutches, credenzas, big heavy pieces, 1980s bed frames with the mirrors on the side and all the cabinets and stuff. Those are very challenging to donate. I get a lot of no's on those items.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, we're going to come back to you and ask you about mover fees. So mover fees, and you can kind of tie in maybe also a best time to arrange for a mover if you are going to be downsizing and moving to a different location. But fees and then hourly rate or, and then also in-state and out-of-state. So let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I think that out-of-state is you have to have a special license. A lot of in-state moves are doable. You have to be insured. I would ask for how much experience you have, but fees, it ranges. I hear a lot of stories. I mean, we charge labor plus gas, but I hear a lot of other companies, they charge for different types of fees. So I would definitely ask all the bottom lines what your fees are. Is there extra for this, extra for that? Look at the bottom line, the fine print. Just ask all the questions you can. Are there any extra fees? Are there any extra fees for this? Extra fees for wrapping stuff? Extra fees for supplies, padding stuff? So the extra fees, I think, where it's hidden sometimes, but I would ask for those items.
I would also ask for a written bid, right? You want a written itemized bid if you're going to be moving. But I wanted to ask Art and Kim, what is the specific insurance you need to go over state lines, and how do we check on that as a consumer? Kim or Art?
We don't go out of state, so I'm not sure.
So we're out-of-state, local, and long-distance movers, and you do have to have a specific license, in order to drive, and that's where everything gets done by weight. So as you go out of state, you can have a truck that's maybe half filled, but there's going to be a minimum, because regardless, we still have to take our truck, we still have to have a team, we still have to pay for gas, no matter how big or small it is. The only difference is when we hit the scales. So that's where I would say that would come in for local long distance, is you just want to make sure that they offer that. Not everybody does. And insurance, this is a question that I don't like answering, because in the end, insurance, when you ask somebody, hey, you're insured and bonded, well, I'm sure we're all insured and bonded. But do you know what insurance is if we break something? Nothing. 60 cents a pound. That's the law. 60 cents a pound. So when you get those really thin TVs that we love so much, we break that, unless if the mover wants to accommodate out of pocket, but that's not going to be much compensation. So if you want to be insured, if you have traveled around the world and you have beautiful items that you cherish and want to make sure they get taken care of, ask if they have extra insurance, because not all movers have extra insurance to provide that, where they just might offer that 60 cents a pound.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. And Kim and Art, Kim, we'll stick with you and then pop over to Art again. Some folks think renting a U-Haul is all they need, or again, getting those kids to come and help you pack. And just thinking that, gosh, we can do it ourselves. Again, benefits of utilizing moving services versus do it yourself.
If you can, great. Save money. I'm all about saving money for your health and health insurance because you never know where that can take you. So that is always my first goal. But let's think about it. We're seasoned. We can't lift and move our bodies like we used to. We crack when we sit in a chair or stand up from a chair. So we need to figure out what's the best option. Do we have all the stuff that we've traveled around the world, 3-foot jade statue or something that is very special? Then I would hire a professional to make sure they wrap it properly. Another thing I forgot to mention is that if you pack something, we don't insure it. We have to pack it to insure it because we don't know how you packed it. So if you're gonna do it on your own, great. Have your friends come over, pack what you need, load the U-Haul, save the money, do it if you can. But you hire professional movers because we're the muscle, we're the labor, and moving is not fun and sucks whether you hire a professional or not. So you wanna make sure that you look at the value of your items. If you have a bunch of IKEA stuff or stuff that you're like, we've loved it, there's stains on it, we've loved every part of it, great. Then do it if you can, save the money. But professional movers are there for a reason to help you with the stuff that you need to get from point A to point B because it is not a fun job.
I learned the hard way because my mom and I tried to move this gorgeous marble coffee table and we dropped it down the stairs and we just watched it roll down the stairs and it got smaller and smaller as it cracked into a million pieces. And all we could do, first we cried and then we laughed hysterically. So anyway, yeah, I'm all about hiring the professional. Art, what do you want to add to the do-it-yourself versus hiring a professional?
Oh, no, I mean, if you want to hire, if you want to rent your own U-Haul and have your kids do it, I mean, it's going to save you quite a bit of money. But if you guys lived a long life, pay movers to do it. Don't waste your back. Don't spend the time, the energy. It's a long process. So hire someone that knows something that can help out and enjoy watching them move.
And Art, okay, tell us about your staff. You said you have 6 people, I think. So what special training or education have you equipped them with so they know how to help someone downsize? And let's, if we haven't, silence our phones. Silence our phones. I love hearing all your different ringies, but turn your phones off. All right. Art?
So besides the senior certified training that we train our guys on, it's really on the job and working with them and doing tons and tons of moves. So a lot of experience and communication, I think, is the key. Communication and working well with each other and working with the client and doing whatever they need to help them out to make sure everything is efficient and doing what they want. Because everybody has a different expectation, so we make sure we meet that and communicate with them throughout the whole process.
Okay. And when you hear about dispatchers for movers, is that primarily the larger moving companies? Yeah. Long distance.
Long distance is where you have that. Otherwise, my move manager handles all those logistics for us.
Got it. Okay. All right. Do your folks have any special training?
Well, mine is we have all these videos and these tests that we have our team take online. And anytime we're on a job site, we always have a team lead that's been with us for over 10 years run the show. So therefore, if we do have a newbie or if we do have a bigger job, there's always somebody who's experienced and knowledgeable and knows how to manage the project properly.
And Derek, I was going to have you jump into this one too, as far as the movers and the staff and support, special training.
So that's a very good question. We have our own movers. They're in-house. Excuse me. We make nothing on them. Our insurance is insured at the low estimate. So if we give a $10,000 to $20,000 estimate and we're moving it even from Lafayette and it gets damaged, it's covered at $10,000. So we charge a nominal fee. For example, when I'm going up to Tahoe or LA, I charge $1,000 to fill up a 26-foot bobtail. We make nothing on it, and it's all insured. Factor in fuel costs, 3 movers, putting them up in hotels. So we make nothing. But it is something to bear in mind is moving costs. Our movers are trained. Most of them worked at moving companies for a number of years, so they're quite familiar with moving because we don't want damage. But to say it's never happened would be false. It certainly happens, but it is covered. So that's something we can pass on to our client. At least they can rest assured that it's covered.
Right, right. And I always suggest if there is something that you would just die if something happened to it, take it yourself, put it in your car, and hand deliver it to the next spot.
Can I just add something to that? Is always when you're moving, I always say keep your jewelry on you. We had some lady pack her diamond ring. So I always over communicate now because if one person can do it, another person can do it. Have a bag of clothes, a couple days worth of clothes, your prescriptions, toiletries, everything, just so when you move in, you don't realize how overwhelmed you're going to be with all these boxes. So if you have just that separate bag, you don't have to rush and go through everything as quickly.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. All right, Derek, we're going to keep going with you as the auction house appraiser consignment guru. And, you know, we got into kind of an interesting conversation about who your typical client is, and you started talking about the FBI.
Yes, so we work with
Like what?
estates and government agencies and the DOJ. And because with the feds or even some attorneys, as far as personal property goes, it is to be sold as cash on the widest open market, which is an auction. So because then you're opening up to the widest market. With the DOJ, we were given $500,000 in gold that was seized, and we did about $750,000 on it because of the world being so scared today about the economy. So they purchased precious metals in a strong way. But yes, we work with government agencies as well as high-level estates and low-level estates. And I love advanced collectors, by the way.
That's awesome. Okay, keep that microphone on, Derek, because this is your time to shine here. Okay, so when's the best time for someone to call you to arrange services with you?
A lot of times, estates or trustees call me with the intent of keeping everything, disperse it among the family, unless one thing stands out. And I don't look at appraisals because an appraisal is an opinion of value. It's not the necessary value. So the value is what it sells for, or what it can possibly sell for. And one quick example, I read an appraisal, and one item was valued at $5,000. I asked her who did the appraisal. She told me that item that was $5,000. I was a little concerned about the appraiser because they don't have training, and they offered to buy it. And that sculpture, at the time I valued it, was $150,000. It was by an artist named Ruth Asawa. And today it would be $1 million sculpture. So, I mean, one thing also to bear in mind is shop your appraisers and find out if they're certified, because there's a lot of appraisers out there. And I could waste too much time telling you examples, so I'll stop there.
Well, so the qualifications that they should look for, and then I think you started to talk about why you don't like appraisals, but valuation?
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference between an appraisal and evaluation. So I have to first of all, I have to find out from the client what exactly they need. A lot of times they don't need an appraisal, they just want an evaluation. They want to know, what is this thing worth if we did sell it at auction. An appraisal is totally different. Usually it's used for estate tax purposes or equitable distribution, or you name it. Insurance, if your collection is worth a lot and you want to protect it, which includes sentimental value, you can't put a price on that. So in a sense, most people just want a valuation. I'd say 9 times out of 10. And the appraisals, there is a cost involved, and we are certified to write appraisals.
Where do you get certified? Is there some institute or something?
Yes. So as far as appraisals go, there are three main affiliations that one can have. One's the American Association of Appraisers, International Society of Appraisers, or American Appraisal Association. All of them, we have to do specific yearly coursework, which includes federal regulations that change every single year. So it's something to bear in mind when shopping for an appraiser. And also asking the right questions, because they may give you a replacement valuation even for equitable distribution, so the family's splitting it up. But that's no way to base an evaluation, because that's high retail as opposed to What is it worth today? It's completely, again, I could talk too long. I love to hear myself talk.
No, we love hearing you talk, Derek. So I know that there are people here because a lot of us have spoken that have, for instance, maybe some particular art pieces, paintings, coins, jewelry, certain things that they are curious about. So are all personal appraisers knowledgeable in all things?
My short and sweet answer is no. So one person or one specialist cannot appraise your Asian art, your stamp collection, your fine art, your jewelry. They're specialists in each thing, and a jewelry is probably the toughest. Or just yesterday, someone said, but I have this big collection of jade. And it wasn't jadeite, it was actually hardstone. So the family believed it was jade this whole time, and it wasn't. So, and then I have to be the bearer of bad news in a very, comforting way.
Oh. So who came to our December seminar where we had the 3 awesome appraisers? Okay, handful, because one of the speakers is here. So that's awesome. Okay, because that might be a good one to go back and review as well. Okay, thank you for answering that. Strangest item, Derek, and I know you've had a couple of us have heard about this before, but strangest item you've come across in your business is the first part of my question. Then I'll go on to another.
It's still the top, and it was a few mummy items, mummy hands with the scarab ring, and a mummy foot last year, which came from Lafayette.
Nothing odd about that. Nothing odd about that, right? We all have a couple of those in our garage.
And just to add to that quickly is the reason why we sold at least the hands. The whole collection went to London, but it's illegal to ship body parts out of the country. So we got the hands.
Just so you know.
So wait, what? So what?
Yeah, so we handled it. It was part of the Huntington Library.
Wait, you handled it.
Well, handled it. I don't want to even tell you stories about how that worked out with my staff, but yes, we use that term a lot. So
Nice. All right. And what items sell for the most amount of money? And has this changed over the years? Like what's hot right now? Because I think we think, well, we love our items, and I got this at Bruner's, or I got this at wherever, or this was handmade by a craftsman in Germany or whatever. So what items sell for the most money consistently, and how has that changed over the years?
So that's a very broad question because there's something that one could think is worthless that can be very important. Again, a lot of examples. And there's some things that, especially with fine art, the market changes so drastically. We had a piece last year that the client paid $30,000 for in 2017 at a gallery in New York City. And the gallery called him and wanted to give him $400,000. So he knew something was going on here for the place he bought it from to offer that much. So we just said, look, we'll run it with a 400 reserve and see what happens. And it sold for $1 million. And so, and that's how drastic the auction world for fine art changes. Hudson River School pictures today that were popular in the 60s, 70s, Heed, pictures like that, they're worth literally nothing compared to about 10 cents on the dollar compared to where they were in the 70s. So what's hot today? Danish modern, but not all Danish moderns created equal. So again, that depends on what it is, and just because it says made in Denmark doesn't mean it's worth a lot.
All right. Any other strange items? Any other strange items that are?
Oh, there was one we couldn't sell.
Oh.
The family gave us an urn, which was one of their grandparents.
Oh,
So we couldn't handle that.
nobody wanted to buy Grandpa. Tammy, have you ever found anything weird?
What's so strange is, I'll tell you a little bit later about Max Sold, but it's a new type of estate sale auctions. But we had one of those, and we got a call from the police probably about 6 months later that one of the clients bought this group of tools, and it had a coffee can in it. And it was a severed finger.
Oh.
It was like, we just thought, okay, because Mac sold you lot things together. So it wasn't like you look at everything in detail. It was just a coffee can in the garage. And so they interviewed us about the process. They went and interviewed the widow whose house we helped clear out, just to understand the history of the finger. And I think they actually did a DNA sample to make sure there wasn't an open case of some type of trauma. So yeah, we got some hand stories to share.
Yeah, Kim, have you ever found anything? No.
My very first job was at a walnut farm, so I thought mine was traumatizing. I would be traumatized if I saw what Tammy did, but we were in a walnut farm and we were in this huge warehouse, and as I walked in, a art this big just fell out of the pipe, and I just walked out. I was like, I'm good. This is not where I'll be working for the sale.
Art, anything odd?
Can't touch it. There's
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah, that's a
You guys top it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Derek, how do you determine if you're going to accept a sale?
It's a good question. So I am black and white, but I am compassionate because we all live with things, and things mean something to us. However, an auction environment is not always the right venue to sell things, and so I let the client know that. If it's valued at $500 to $700 and there's 4 people in the world that want it, an auction environment's not the right environment. In that big entertainment center, I can't handle. So it's a difficult question because it all depends on the scenario and if there is a market, if there is a buyer pool globally that would like this item. Because we need to take that number to the highest level. And we work hard for our sellers because without the property to sell, we have no business.
And assuming that items for an auction make sense, what are the fees? How do those work? And then secondly, what happens when things are not purchased? Where do they go?
So our commission is based on a sliding scale depending upon the seller's, the value of the item. However, all rules are made to be broken. So with that picture that we sold for $1 million, we went down to 0 commission. So we didn't charge the consignor anything because we wanted to handle that. Those items that are $500 to $700, that let's say something sells for $200, we're not the best place. But when I do work with clients that do have something that is marketable, and I go to an estate and they say, well, if you take that, you have to take this $100 couch. I'm going to take that $100 couch. So if an item doesn't sell, we charge nothing. We also do not charge storage fees for items that are slated for several months away. And if it doesn't sell and the estate simply wants it sold, we reoffer it the following month, and we just simply reduce the estimate with no fee charged to the client until it's sold.
And then does it go back to the client?
Only if the client wants it back, and then there's no fee charged. So let's say grandma's favorite chair didn't sell, and it does have a market, but it got to a price point that they didn't want to sell it, they can certainly pick it up, and there's no fee charged.
And where do you send it if they don't want it?
We just keep reoffering it until it finally sells.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So and a lot of times it gets down to a number, just like real estate, and they think, wow, I'm going to get it for that price. It's cheap, because they just look at the estimate. So you get 2 or 3 people bidding, and it can go higher than its original offering. So it's interesting. We had a piece of Nakashima, but it was a fragment of this Japanese guy who made furniture in the 70s that's worth quite a bit of money today. And it didn't sell for $500. We reoffered it, and it sold for $3,000. So you never know. You just never know. That question is so abstract,
And that does relate well to real estate, too, because you don't want to start high. Right. Okay. I think you've answered most of these, actually. So this is awesome. And we already, and how are items priced? Well, I assume you just know.
We pick numbers out of the air. No.
Works for me.
We actually subscribe to a lot of databases that show what items have sold for. And we only can look at consistent sales prices, realize, because there's always an anomaly, just like in real estate. So you'll have, and you go into some home and they think, no, mom told me it's worth $10,000 when really it's worth $3,000. And mom was right, because when she bought it, it was worth $10,000. And so then I have to break the news and let them know and show them concrete proof, and then they look and they Okay, let's sell it for 3, but they have to be shown the facts, and that's how we base our numbers. We can't arbitrarily base our numbers on what the client thinks they're worth. And I have passed on items that had value because the client had an inflated impression of what that value should be. So.
Same with real estate. Tammy, tell us, because you and I have worked on a max sold, and it's an unusual thing. So tell us what max sold is, and is it in person or is it online, or how does that work?
So you think about estate sales, you have to get moved out of your house and then everything's there, and we've got some great local estate sale companies who will come in and clean things up and advertise it and price it and be there when the general public comes in. So often people feel like, I don't really want the whole public to come in my house and go through my items. So there's something called max sold. There's different versions of it, but basically it marries something similar to eBay, where you list something online, we go into a house and kind of put groups of like items together, we photograph it and describe it. It goes online, and that auction can go on for 3 days or 3 months, however long, although the bidding for those items usually happen a lot right towards the end. And so the people that actually come into the house are the ones that have already paid for the item. They've set up an account with MaxSold before they started bidding with the credit card, and they're told, you won this item and you have to come to the house at this time. They bring their own boxes, they bring their own vehicles, everything else, and so then you have MaxSold company mans the door and only lets a certain amount of people in at a time. They go to the area with the items that they purchase, box it up, and take it to their house. And then at the end, if there's things that aren't picked up or things that weren't sold, then those are just generally hauled away. So it's kind of a marrying, almost like an eBay, where a lot of times with Max Sold, you never know what things need to be priced at. So you want the market to set the price. And so when you have all these bidders coming in with Max Sold, they're the ones that are going to set that price. It starts at 0, and then as it goes. And towards the end of the bid, if there's still activity, it stays open. So if there's a bid within, I think it's 3 minutes of each other, even though the bidding is over for the general sale, those particular items that are in high demand will stay open until those bids stop being within 3 minutes of each other. So it's been going on a long time. It's really popular in Canada and back east. California, it's getting better where there's more bidders. The only trouble is you have to spend quite a bit of time putting together the items, cleaning them up, putting them together, photographing them. And so those are things that you can do yourself or have family members help you with, or hire a local company. Max Sold does have some staff out here. We have found that we tend to know our clients better and make sure that things are done a little better. So. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I called them for my move, and I think I could have done it for $700 or something, and
that's it. What's interesting, and we have used the staff, I think it's $700. So you or a group like us will put the lots together. For $700, they'll bring in 3 people, and they go around and take the photographs and do the descriptions and upload it. And for that same $700, those people come back the day that things are being picked up. And so, $700, let's say 3 people for basically 2 full days, $700, that's really inexpensive labor in California. And I think the caliber, sometimes, as I say, you would just want to manage part of that yourself. It's hard to turn.
The communication was rough and the timing wasn't available, so it didn't work for me. But I do want to touch on estate sales, because we're talking about getting rid of our clutter and stuff, right? So that is another way that we can get rid of things, liquidate our possessions. And so there's a big difference between an estate sale and a garage sale. Who's done a garage sale in their past?
Don't do it.
And who would do it again? No. I mean, the problem with the garage sale is you have to put it all in the garage. You have to organize it. You have to price it. And then people want to buy your book for a penny and your bike for $2. And what are you left with at the end of the day? A garage full of stuff. And nobody is getting rid of that for you. So that doesn't seem very fun. I did that with my parents once, and we would never do that again. But an estate sale is different. So an estate sale, you have a professional company, and they do the marketing. They do the advertising. They want to come into your home after you have taken what you are bringing with you, and you leave everything else. Sometimes they'll have a day when your family can come and shop your home. So that's when you say, okay, Johnny Jr. and Susie, guess what? We're moving, and you need to come by between next Monday and Thursday. Anything you want to take, it's yours. But if you don't get there by Thursday, it's going to be sold. So then they want you to leave everything where it is. Leave it in the drawer. Leave it in the china cabinet. They don't want you taking things out and organizing it because they're going to do it. And they should have, they'll know much better than us what something is worth, how to price it, and they have a database of people. So I don't know if you've ever gone to an estate sale. There's usually a line waiting to get in. I mean, that usually doesn't happen with a garage sale, right? But that's their marketing, that's their database, that's their signage. And often they have to have security as well. And then there may even be somebody directing traffic, so people are going in a certain order of rooms in the hallways and in the rooms, and that's all very helpful as well. So a short list of what an estate sale company would do would be, obviously they're going to work with you on picking the best time, and it does take a couple of weeks. So they need typically about 5 days to organize. Then the estate sale is going to be typically like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then Monday, they have everything else that didn't sell hauled away, and your home is swept clean, and then that's when your realtor can come and take over and move forward with the rest of things that need to be done with the home. They research the items, and they get the information needed to sell it appropriately, and then they'll work with you sometimes to select an agreed upon starting price for items. Again, we talked about advertising, marketing to a private mail list, clearly marked items. Sometimes a couple estate sale companies I've worked with, they will incorporate a few items from another estate. So, for instance, I had a home in Walnut Creek, and they didn't have any jewelry. They had tons of interesting furniture and art pieces, but no jewelry. So she brought in 2 cases of really cool jewelry. And that's sort of like the lost leader, right? So people went in maybe looking for jewelry, and then they end up shopping the rest of the house too. So that works well sometimes. They handle all the negotiations, which is key. I mean, you don't want to be doing that with people. They have staff on hand. We talked about providing security. And then what they usually charge is somewhere between, around here, it's 40, 45, 50% of the profit. And then depending on the company, that profit may need to equal for them to take on your estate minimum maybe $5,000, $7,000. Some of them have a $10,000 minimum. So you'd have to have $20,000 of things for them to make their minimum 50%. But the beauty is, as Tammy already said, it costs money to have your things hauled away. It costs money. Even if you bring something to a consignment store and it doesn't sell, guess who has to pay to go pick it up again? We do. So part of that fee is they're getting rid of all the rest of the stuff. So you're saving on the hauling fee, if you will, which is not a bad deal. So I know, Kim, you do some estate sales. So what would you want to add as far as advice, other things that we should know about an estate sale?
Call multiple estate sale companies. You can call 5 different liquidators, and we're all going to give you a different answer. And I think, so out of the 4 services we offer, this is the one I least recommend, and that's because everybody expects to make a lot of money. In an estate sale, you're not making a lot of money. This person can make you a lot of money. That's why we have this third party to find the value of things, because when you have an estate sale, you have collectors coming to shop, and you have resellers that resell your tools at flea markets. So you're not going to get a lot of money for the value. And when liquidators are in your home, nobody's allowed in there. No contractors, no realtors, no friends, no family, because it's a liability. So we're in there setting up, getting everything going, and your money is usually in the home, not so much the belongings. So if we're going to be there for 4 to 6 weeks, you could be paying your mortgage, you could be paying your gardener, your maintenance and everything like that, when your ROI in the end might not be worth it, where although it's an out-of-pocket fee to have haulers come in, it's a quicker process. If you have a lot of stuff in the home and we have enough for sale, great, because that does pay for some of the services. And, in the end, some liquidators will leave all the stuff that's what's left over, and then there's some liquidators that remove the items and donate and junk what they can. So you just want to make sure you ask questions, call multiple people, because everyone is going to give you a different answer.
Okay, and we want to save time for your questions because I bet you all have some good ones for us. So I'm going to ask the panel, any last minute things you want to quickly add that we forgot?
I'd love to tell you a little more specifics in terms of how to go about things. So one thing I would say is if you have items in your house you're saving because it's for a family member, give them a deadline. What ends up happening is they keep saying they're going to come get it, and the responsibility's on your shoulders. And so tell them what you have and what you're saving for them and give them a deadline, whether you're moving or not. If it's just there, your adult kids shouldn't still have all of their college yearbooks in your house. Set a deadline. Number 2 is don't be upset if your kids don't want some of your stuff. If you think about the house, think about all the areas in your house you have just warehoused those things for years. How many things have you not touched for years? Do you want your kids to take those and also warehouse them in their house for the next 20 or 30 years? So give them the gift of not wanting it and not burdening them with it and being okay with that. So that's 2. 3 is figure out how to get rid of your trash the cheapest way possible. There's 2 free garbage pickups a year. The first day is charity, the second day is garbage. Utilize that. If you have neighbors that don't utilize it and you have got a lot of stuff, ask them, can I drag my extra 14 bags to your front yard for those days? Fill up your garbage can. Also, if you have neighbors that don't use their black garbage can very much and you have legitimate garbage, continue to release your house. I always think the foundation of the house just needs to be going like, this feels so much better. Think about all the weight that's there. So that's 3. Don't let the high value things stop you. So things like sterling. You can still use, there's a lot of us that buy sterling. Don't let that stop you from getting rid of all those linens and all that kind of stuff. And the other thing is sometimes it's too late. Sometimes we're working with older people and they're worried about all their china, but their health issues are so bad. And I say in that case, release that burden. You don't have to declutter if you're in the middle of some major crisis, but you do want to move that clutter out of the living zone and so that it's not in the way, and know it's okay. Give yourself permission to say, I'm going to deal with that later because right now I can't deal with it with every other crisis going on in my life.
Thank you. All right, questions. And we'll try to get to as many as possible. Okay. Marianne, this is going to be interesting.
Derek, if one has things in one's home and has no idea the value of anything, do you send someone to look at things?
Yes, and that's a big part of what all of the specialists do. And if we're not sure, it's out of our area of expertise, we do take images to show. For example, my Asian department doesn't go on many home visits because many times there's only a small amount. So we take images to show our Asian department. But yes, we do home visits with jewelry. Really, that has to be brought to our gemologist. So, but yes.
Questions? I'll start on this side and work. Any other questions over here? Okay.
Tammy, could you please repeat the 2020?
Sure.
The 2020. Yeah.
So if you don't plan on using it in 20 days, and it costs less than $20, and it would take less than 20 minutes to borrow it or go buy it, then don't keep it just in case. And you can increase that if you don't plan on using it in 60 days, or it's like whatever, but some reason to give yourself permission to let it go.
Nice. All right, Marianne.
This question is mostly for Kim or for Tammy. What process do you use to find your employees?
I'm kind of OCD in the sense of who I bring on my team. For example, my movers, I always want someone that I can trust with my diamonds being left out. So the people that are part of my team are people that you can trust and that know what they're doing. So when I don't have to micromanage them. So I'm a hands-on owner, so I always start, I've done every job in my company. So I work with my team to make sure that they're up to my expectations, make sure that they have the qualifications of the testing and making sure they know how to pack things, because something as simple as putting Tootsie Roll paper, as I like to say, on the bottom of dishes, those are things that I want my team to be aware of. So I make sure that I personally help train them and they have the certifications that I want for that specific job.
I find I look for employees that have some wisdom and some compassion, because we can train them packing, we can train them organizing skills. And so the majority of my employees work because they just love the process. And so they are, all insured and they're trained, and it's a matter of them saying, how can I take care of this person? And we just have to deal with their stuff in the process. I've hired a couple younger staff members because I love the diversity, and we all wish we had our 30-year-old bodies and everything, but we love our 50 and 60-year-old brains. And so I find that a lot of my staff, I want them to have a lot of life experiences so they understand the stages of life that our clients have gone through.
Perfect. Lynn?
How does one go about finding out about specialty donation sites? So, for example, unfortunately, I still have things from my parents who died many, many years ago, and I found I managed to take my mom's clothing to Hearst Castle, and they took them, but I have my father's uniforms from World War II, and I don't know if there's some place that might be interested.
Specialty donation places for unusual things, yeah. Those places or resources.
Somebody's saying something over there. I'm like, because I don't know any specialty places for uniforms like that. We take everything but hazard waste because we donate to a variety of charities. Our main goal is low-income families and people in need. And I personally like men's clothes. When I get it, I go to Olivera and Concord, and there's a bunch of homeless men lined up, and I personally just drop it off. So I'm just all about finding to reuse and repurpose, but I don't have a resource for any uniforms like that. Tammy, do you?
No, so if you have the time and the energy, there's a lot of research that can be done, and I think Google is your friend, really, for that. There's cat charities, there are homeless charities, but it's a matter sometimes to me of saying, if it's fun for you to do all that research and you feel like you need to honor your predecessors that way, but if you think about every other thing you have to deal with your life and you've got a lot of clutter, maybe just donating it to a local charity like Wayside Inn. Has everybody heard of Savers? I know Savers is kind of controversial for people. So if you haven't heard about them, they opened up in the old Rite Aid shopping center right by Rossmore. Savers has, it is a nonprofit, but I see them more as a recycler. So they're not a nonprofit like Wayside Inn and some of the local ones. They are for-profit, but they do donate some money. But what's wonderful is you back your car up, they've got a great drop-off zone. Again, it's a old Rite Aid right by Rossmore. You back in, they come out, they unload, and they take a lot of stuff that other charities don't take.
Will they take furniture?
They take smaller furniture.
Okay.
Don't bring an entertainment center.
Yeah,
or
somebody
a
was
huge
asking
couch.
me that yesterday.
But in tables, small chairs, yes.
Perfect. Lynn, World War II Museum in Washington, this wonderful lady suggested, okay? World War II museums, okay? Washington and New Orleans. And you had a question?
Do you have any specific suggestions on how to get rid of disorganized but fairly sizable coin, stamp collections?
Derek, yes, there are specialists in both coins and stamps. So when we review what the client has, because if it's stamps and they're all canceled and someone just collected them as a hobby, they're worthless. So if the coin collector just picked out coins, I'm going to give you a quick example because I know we're short on time. I had an estate in Belvedere, and he was quite wealthy, and he threw this gold coin in his watch collection. The gold coin was an 1851 U.S. gold coin minted in San Francisco, which means it was Gold Rush gold. So I had to send it out to get it not authenticated, graded. If it was mint, it would have been $600,000. It had 3 nicks in the corner. We sold it for $30,000. So Because so gold is a whole different ball of wax, especially if it has numismatic value.
2 minutes to raise their hand and you can give them one. Okay, 2 more questions and then we're gonna do our raffle and send you on your way.
So I'm curious if you guys know any places to easily donate old audio cassettes and old VHS tapes to keep them out of landfills.
No.
Bonfire.
No, I was even excited once out in the States that we sold a VCR and all the cassette tapes for free. So I was just happy to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So
You sold it for free?
Sold it for free.
What's the question I'll ask? Did you have a question? Oh, yeah. Bring the professionals in.
Janet had a question right up here up front.
Okay, last one. Make it a good one, Janet. Okay. Make it count.
Oh.
No pressure.
I would just like to put. I would just like to.
Two Janets.
Tell you about the Hospice of the East Bay. I've been volunteering there for 25 years, and they will come out and look at your furniture.
Okay, Janet wanted to share. Hospice of the East Bay will come and look at your furniture. So that's a lovely tip. Okay, and so Janet number 2.
Hi. Could you share your thoughts on the value of silver and oriental rugs?
Okay. Last question: silver and oriental rugs.
So not all silver and not all oriental carpets are created equal. So Chinese sculpted carpets I can't give away, and even Persian carpets, it depends on the region. With sterling, it also depends on the pattern, because not all sterling is created equal. Some is just based on spot or market value. Others, for example, a Tiffany Audubon pattern is more like $100 an ounce as opposed to $20 an ounce. So it all depends on what it is.
Melt it.
Yeah.
Melt the bad stuff. Sell the good
This
stuff.
generation is the disposable generation. We don't use the china and silver like we did in the 70s when we did entertain on our holidays. So melt it.
Okay,
So-
I have a very important piece of homework for all of you. You have an evaluation sheet on your desks, right, Susan? On your chairs. I must think I'm back in school. On your desks. And I'd like you to fill that out. And then if you have a specific question that didn't get answered, if you want to consult with any of these wonderful people or myself, my team, write it down. I get so many awesome evaluations with no phone number, no email, and no name. So I have no idea how to get a hold of you. So if you're wondering, well, why didn't she ever call? Because you didn't leave your information. Okay, we're going to give you one last quick chance. Anyone didn't get a raffle ticket? Okay, Susan's going to just give you one real quick. And then real quick. And then why don't you come up, Julian? And what is the raffle today? $50 at Target. Yeah, I can use that. Okay, Susan, real quick. Here we go. Let's do this. Stay there. Don't move. Okay.
I think it's a great idea. I like that.
Whatever you just handed out. Oh, just rip the suckers. Thank you. That was very nice. I think we'll say next time you don't get it.
Yeah, that's what we were going to say. Cut the clutter. Well, then this is what this is about anyway. There you go.
Okay. All right. We will mix them in. All right. Da, 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 da. Art. Pick a winner. And the number is?
I need your glasses, Dana. 456 484. No.
Okay.
Very soon. Very soon. I can barely see it.
Okay. Did you hear that?
466 484.
484. All right. Happy shopping at Target. Well, thank you all for coming. And guess what? Next month is May already, right? Next month is Cannabis and Seniors Part 2. And Part 1 was very, very well attended. So RSVP now, if that's of any interest, pain management, sleeplessness, etc. So we look forward to seeing you at that one and future ones. If there's a topic you want us to present on, let me know, and we'll put that in the schedule for next year. But thank you for coming. Let's give these guys a wonderful round of applause. Have a great day.